terms of the question of how he's got a good teacher, he created an immersive experience. He's a very good teacher. You understand? Can you see that's also what we've been trying to do in God's way for you? We're trying to create an immersive experience. Does that make sense? We're trying to do that to mirror the way God teaches. To put you in... So it's one thing for me to get up here every Saturday or something and every week or every few days to talk about theories. Quite another for you to grasp them on an experiential level. To do that, you're going to have practicals, experiences, right? And that's why we created the organisation God's Way, to help us create a structure so that you can have an experience. Right? So it's not about, a lot of people when we talk about we have a lot of business relationships in God's Way with different suppliers, and they go, what's that God's Way all about? Like they ask you those kind of questions. And as soon as they hear God and way, they go, religion. and they get very complicated, generally speaking. But not understanding that whole reason why we even buy things in God's Way is to give you an experience. You know what I mean? So why do we get a tractor? So some of you would learn how to drive one. Some of you would learn the power of one. Some of you would learn what to do, how to create with it. Some of you learn that you can destroy with it as well as create. You know what I mean? What can we create? You learn that as well. What you learn about machines? How do they work? How does combustion work? How do you need to repair the thing if you have a machine? You learn all these things, right? Which are all very important for creation on Earth in the current state. In your physical limited state. This is all important to create. So there's no point in, why was land given to us in God's Way? It's so that you could have a playground to learn. Right? Why do you come here first to learn and then go out and do other things in other land? It's because we want this land, Mary and I want this land, the 40 acres we have here, to be where you make all your mistakes. Because we don't want you to make a mistake in 1,000 acres. We would rather you make a mistake on 40 acres. Do you understand? So it gives you the freedom to make some mistakes. And many of you have on this land, right? I've gone along afterwards and fixed up your mistakes. Right? And it's all part of the learning experience, right? So this is what you do when you try to teach people properly. You want to create an immersive experience. Not just an experience where you're educating their mind, but also educating their senses and their emotions. You can say educating the real person, their heart, the soul of the person. God's done exactly that through the creation of the universe. Clever, 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 if you think about it, isn't it? Very clever. Yeah. And this is why, after a while you see, if I could only do it the way God does it, that'd be pretty good. If I could only teach the way God teaches, that'd be fantastic. Yeah. All right. Any more about last week that we want to present?
How important would you say theory is, in learning, or is it even important whiteboard teachings and stuff?
Well, I think sometimes whiteboard teaching is important because it's appealing to something in your mind first. But there's a big limitation to it, isn't there? And that is, unless you have an experience that involves your senses and your emotions, you may as well not have learnt it. So this is the problem that I find when I'm teaching people with by video. Video is not an immersive experience. You're just observing somebody talking, right? So you're not in an immersive experience in that. There's just a video, and it can appeal to the mind. It can appeal to, your reason, your sense of reason, and so forth, which can be the beginning of you grasping something, but it's not the end of you grasping it. You've got to go through that immersive experience, emotional, sensory experience in order to grasp the thing. And that applies to all of God's truth, all divine truth, you need to have an immersive experience with. So presenting something to a person's mind We all must come to understand the limitation of it. It is a severely limited form of education. So I'm very conscious of that when I'm talking to you. That's why, a lot of people say, why do you invest so much time? They talk to Mary and I and say, why do you invest so much time in God's way? Are you trying to create some kind of an empire or something? The reason why we spend so much time in God's way is because we want to create an immersive experience with God's truth with you. That makes sense? Without that immersive day-to-day experience that goes on where you actually have real things happening and real things being created, and I must say real things being destroyed as well at times, right? Unless you have that happening to you, how are you going to learn the principles of the thing you're theoretically taught? It's going to be very, very difficult. And theory is a good thing to present, and it also can help people, particularly people who are afraid, because it can help them allay their fears. Do you understand? It can help with your fears to some degree by somebody explaining the nuts and bolts of the thing to you. Sort of like, you've got a car, it's broken down. You don't know how it works. How do you know how to fix it? Right? Somebody's going to have to come along to you and say, yeah, there's this thing called an internal combustion engine. Nowadays they give it the acronym ICE. There's an ICE, an internal combustion engine in your vehicle. And then or it might be an electrical power source with electrical motors now, right? But somebody has to educate you first, somehow, in order for you to develop a desire and to have the experience. So God created your mind so that it often be the first point of call. Your awareness gets piqued, like all of a sudden, I didn't know that, or I wasn't aware of that, or it creates a state where you can become, you could say it's the visiting point of awareness. Couldn't you? You could say it's the first awareness you might have. But it's not learning. Learning is going through the entire experience. That's learning. So God created a universe where you're in the entire experience learning. Make sense? If you want to be a good teacher, you're going to have to do the same. You're going to have to create an experience where someone's in the experience. So this is why, when people listen to Divine Truth on video, frequently they think they know a whole heap of things, and yet when they come here, in the very first day, it's very plain to most people who are educating here that they know barely anything at all. They've only, in their mind, learnt a thing, and that's it. And there's hardly any learning in that because there's been no experience, no senses, no emotions involved in the process. Yeah? So I think the mind is important, Brendan. Like, you've got to understand it's an important point of first contact, but it's only first contact. That's all it is. It's sort of like one of those movies, isn't it, about aliens coming. It's like, God's the alien, first contact. First contact is with your mind. Yeah.